So since I hammered the gong to ring the top 10 best Pokemon names, I thought it would only make sense to list the top 10 worst Pokemon names as a counterpart list, and also fuel the Game Freak designers into coming up with more motivation to have something more worthwhile and not exactly making the game an entire buzzkill. So a lot of these can be corruptions or just horribly executed puns, and trust me, there are a lot of puns in here. So it's gonna be a harder list to make because there are just so many bad Pokemon names, but I guess I gotta find a number one. So with that said, let's dive right into the top 10 worst Pokemon names. Now I mentioned in my last part about my likage to the name Lugia, so now we go towards the opposite side of the spectrum. For the record, the name Ho-Oh is an alternate transcription for Hooh, meaning Phoenix, or Ho, whatever you want to say, and it's from the Japanese name Ho-Oh, to which the O or the U part can refer to Emperor or King. So instead of another cheap palindrome effect, wouldn't it make more sense to just call it Ho-Oh instead, so that you incorporate all the meanings I've listed? Now, I love Ho-Oh, don't get me wrong, his design is great and has an epic backstory, but for a legendary of this caliber, it really does deserve a name with more dignity, not more redundancy. No. At first when I saw Krabby, it was pretty much just the same thing as calling your dog Doggy, and that's the word to describe how I feel about this name. But, however speaking, Krabby has a few more tricks up his sleeve, where it's also a corruption of the word Krabby, which means ill-tempered, which has actually bollocks all to do with the Pokemon in question. So I think it's better off saying that it's trying to make Crab sound cute. I mean, how would a Charmander feel if I just named it Charmandy? If that was female, I think it would describe a girl on fire. In fact, that's an idea, I'll keep that one. And in fact, that would be a better pun than Krabby. And take a guess at what his Japanese name is. Is it something like Suijin? No, it's crap. So this corruption of the word seal has so much deep meaning to it that I can write a whole Yellow Pages lengthy book on it, such as the coming of ice and age and fike it, no! The poke your tongue out design of the Pokemon matches the name on the card, okay? Seal! Hang on while I grab a can of Bowstrong to wash down the empty feeling. Alright, corruption after corruption after corruption, and you wonder why they even bother with corruptions when a name like Love Disc only half matches what it's supposed to symbolize. The fact that it's a disc of love, you know, but in reality, if I put that into my CD slots, 1,000 cries and scratches would be the end result. Good thinking, Batman. Now I've needed a way to eliminate this pathetic waste of Pokemon potential, unless we actually get a Mega Evolution, which entails it becomes an actual heart, and Water Gun turns into Bloody Gun. So in conclusion, I think I've gone past the stage where I used to spell horribly online and send childish love texts. I'm now full of bitter hatred. And now for Love Disc's bastard son or daughter, most likely daughter by the looks of it, but it's 50-50. Now I've looked around the internet for names that other people regard as terrible, and it amounts to how a lot of people are too lazy to even find out how to pronounce names. But I somehow managed to overcome the odds of tongue twisting. But come on, Alum, fuck it. But that's the only reason I don't like it. Mola Mola is a scientific term for ocean sunfish and has mom in the middle for the quality of her care. I will say that it is clever, but it's missing the execution of actually saying it properly. Now it might be my accent, but then again, Microsoft Anna can't say it right. Alum. Slightly. To be honest, I find all these names stupid, and instead of repeating myself, I'll just repeat myself but use a past video to do so. Timber! Girder! Conkeldurr! Couldn't find the video, sorry. So although it's pretty funny to say Girder, Conkeldurr is just a way to keep the evolution line suffix the same, seeing as the name is meant to be a corruption and mix-up of concrete and elder. I understand elder as it's the final evolution, but come on, isn't that a bit vague? Why can't Durr just be derp sound reference to the clown noses? And to think, Robushin, its Japanese name is pretty badass. It can also mean conk to hit someone over the head, but we're not actually playing Whack-A-Diglett, are we? Fair enough, I suppose, but to me it just sounds like a lame combination. I'm sorry, but yes, Grimer is a name that just fits well to what it's supposed to mean, and then you expect an abomination of an evolution, and what do you call it? Muck. Hey, do you know what muck spelled backwards is? Yes, and do you know what the original spelling of the word that has been in the dictionary for donkey's years spelled backwards is? Come, just remove the K. Not that it is something totally bad to me. I don't want to say something like Naomi spelled backwards is Imone, because I did that when I was 13. So basically the real reason, I kind of want to expect something a bit more sewery and non-basic when presenting a final stage evolution. This is the reason people describe Muck as a giant pile of shit, and is seen very locally in a McDonald's toilet. Thanks, you're my favorite customer. I don't know how we got all the way through generations and generations and you get both of these names that just sound extremely stupid. And I don't understand how people could say these names grow on them, because yeah, they grow, but they grow like a fucking cordyceps. So for both of these names, I have different reasons for hating each of them, and I do hate them. They are supposed to be remakes of 2 fighting Pokemon from Generation 1, yet they are given just the stupidest names ever. So let's start with Throw. Ta-da! Get it? Because he's a judo master? No. If I was a black belt, I wouldn't call myself Throw. Just because I make Pokemon videos doesn't mean I'm called Pokemon, although I consider Sork to be much worse, and you can kind of understand why when I pronounce it that way. Only because it's meant to be a corruption of the word sock, as in punch. I'm British, so the pun gets thrown right out the window. No, I'll do it! I mean, come on, back in 1st gen, right, the duo we had were Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan, based off 2 famous movie fighters, so they weren't just called Lee and Chan or even Hit. I'm just wondering if somebody backstage messed up or got lazy. But you know what? There's no point in anything anymore. Listen, Kling Klang, onomatopoeia for a name is just a horrible joke waiting to happen, especially when it highly associates with a Lee Evans skit. Cling, clang, clang. Cling, clang, 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 clang. And not mainly because of that is why it bothers me so much. If there was enough of a character limit, I'd say go, gears that make metal bashing noises. An odd design mixed with an awful name is all to really say, and maybe I'll insult the object evolution process another day. Does the names really describe a Transformer styled evolution? I mean, you get Klink, then Clang, then Kling Klang. I mean, if a clock really made a noise like that, I think time would stop, and then kind of screw itself with its own hands. Okay, I think you knew this was coming somewhere, and you're probably wondering at this point, where's Mr. Mime? And it wouldn't really be number 1 if it weren't for 2 stuck out like a sore thumb factors. First, mimes cannot even say their own name. Well, they can, but they get paid not to. And I assume Mr. Mime does it for charity. No. Don't give me that, they're mute. End of story, I'm right. And the downright death sentence. Somehow, there is a 50% chance that Mr. Mime can very well be a hermaphrodite. Game Freak. What is the point in complaining about this? I mean, that bullet wound stuck in the foot hasn't healed, and I'd be cruel to apply pressure to it. But then again, I'm a twat. So thank you, Mr. Mime, for a well-inducted pain-enhancing justification. And that concludes that. The next list will most likely be a near Halloween. There's also other big series that I'm putting out there, such as the satirical fact videos and general rants that may be tackling individual games in the near future, not just franchises or kind of different videos. I will also be releasing posts on Tumblr to do with other kinds of media, such as top 10 songs of certain bands, such as Metallica, Anthrax, Machine Head, even more recent kind of stuff. And any other bands and media you want to see. So that's also where you can ask me questions related to anything, and doesn't rule out my Q&A video series that I do on this channel. And besides from that, subscribe to my other YouTube channel, love my Facebook page, and stalk me on Twitter and Tumblr. Hope you enjoyed this video. Lights out! I don't think it even... Daddy, that sounded really Welshy.